Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn, and in this video, we have another practice speaking test. This time it's with Sherzod from Uzbekistan. Remember, if you'd like to have your own practice test with feedback, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and join my Telegram channel, Expert Examiner, or my Facebook group, Expert Examiner IELTS. That's where I collect all of my candidates. Anyway, enjoy the test. Good afternoon. My name is Glyn. Would you tell me your full name, please?
Yeah, Sherzod the widow.
And what should I call you?
You can call me Sherzod.
Okay, thank you, Sherzod. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Well, currently I'm doing both of them because I'm studying online for my university degree and I am working as a teacher.
And how long have you been working as a teacher?
Actually, I've been working as a teacher for 7 years now because while I was studying in China, I also taught some kids, kindergarten kids, and
And
that
what,
was part-time job.
and what do you like most about your job?
Well, the thing that I like most about my job is that it's a very rewarding and it gives me for personal fulfillment to see my students grow every day. And yeah, and also getting to communicate with a lot of people, it broadens my mind as well.
And do you think you'll continue working as a teacher in the future?
Well, I'm not really sure about that. Maybe I might have a change of career at the age of 30 or 35 when I cannot put up with the stress that I deal with my job now.
Now let's talk about having breakfast. What do you usually have for breakfast?
Well, I usually skip breakfast just because I have to get to my job, early in the morning at 7 o'clock. But if I get up earlier than that, I usually have breakfast, and it's just butter, a slice of bread, and a hot tea.
And have you ever had breakfast at a cafe or restaurant?
Yeah, it sometimes happens, especially when I go on business trips to different cities, in particular Tashkent, because I usually stay in a hotel, and early in the morning I need to have breakfast. So I find I get a quick breakfast in a cafe, nearby cafe.
Mhm. Now let's talk about history. Did you like learning about history when you were at school?
Yes, I I really enjoyed learning about the history of my country and also international history as well, because we were lucky enough to have the the most qualified history teacher, the best history teacher in our region. And she used to deliver the things that happened in the past in a story form. So we would just listen to her stories and learn so many things.
And what parts of history did you learn about in your history classes?
Well, actually, our curriculum had two history subjects. The first one is the history of Uzbekistan, and the second one is the history of the world. Uh, as for the former, when it comes to the history of Uzbekistan, we learned about, famous, well-known figures in the history of our country, and we learned how our country developed over time.
And which parts of your country's history do you find the most interesting?
Well, I think it is Samarkand and Bukhara because they are the most historical cities in my country, and during the 15th and 16th century, they were the main how can I say, they were located on Silk Road. So a lot of people from other countries and traders, they visited that part and they shared their knowledge. And so many great revolutions and inventions were made in that part of my country.
And would you like to learn about any other country's history in the future?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I I would really want to learn about the history of China because that's a country where I studied for 3 years, and I am very interested in Chinese culture. They have different traditions, and I wonder how the people in ancient times, live it.
All right, thank you. Now, in this next part of the test, I'm going to give you a topic, and I would like you to speak about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, you'll have 1 minute to prepare for your talk, and you may take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
Mhm. I will now share the topic on my screen. Can you see the topic?
Yes.
I'd like you to describe an activity you've done that made you feel really tired. Your 1 minute of preparation time starts now. Okay, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you'll have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Yes, of course. Well, back in 2020, I had to come back from my uh, from China because of the coronavirus pandemic, and I had to continue my lessons online there. So we used to have lessons 3 times a week. So the other 3 days I was totally free, sometimes helping my parents with housework, but most of the time, yeah, I had nothing to do. So a lot of my friends during that coronavirus pandemic, they gave up their jobs or they got hired from their jobs. They were free, and we decided to go on forest trekking with my friends uh, in the next village, which is located about 20 miles away, because there is a vast forest there. So, but we decided not to take our phones or any gadgets with us because we wanted to spend a weekend without technology. Because all of us admired that we were spending too much time in front of the screen, and some of us even got addicted to that. So without our technology, without our phones, informing our parents, we just left our city and we just got into the forest. But I believe we didn't get prepared for the for this activity really well because we had only taken very little water, and in the middle of the forest we found out that we lost our ways, and we had been already walking for more than 15 hours, and eventually night came and we were really exhausted and we really didn't know what to do, but fortunately, there was a guy who works as a who works as a lumberjack in that forest. Uh, he he saw
Okay,
us and
thank
he
you.
knew that we were
Thank
struggling a
you.
lot, so he decided
Thank
to
you.
help us.
Thank you. All right, so you've been talking about this activity that made you feel tired. Let's talk about being tired in more detail now. Do you agree that people are generally more tired nowadays than people in the past were?
Yeah, I do believe that this is the case because a lot of people nowadays are working too much because they set a lot of goals for themselves and they, overwork. This makes them not only tired but also very stressed. And the only reason behind this is the materialistic nature of people, I think. They are becoming more and more materialistic.
How does being more materialistic make people more tired?
Yes, of course. Because when they become materialistic, they want to achieve so many things in their lives. So the only way to achieve something great, something big in your life is to, earn a lot of money, to earn a fortune, maybe. So in order to earn a lot of money, they just work overtime and they get employed, right, in different places. So eventually, consequently, this leads to exhaustion, maybe.
Mhm. What advice would you give to someone who complains that they always feel tired?
Well, I think they have to make several changes to their daily routine. Uh, I think 10 or 15 minutes of exercise will impact on their level of happiness and on increase their mood and will prevent them from feeling tired. And I would really recommend that they should do something that enjoy, for example, spending quality time in the company of friends or family members, so they can achieve that, I think.
And what do you think's worse, feeling physically tired or feeling mentally tired?
Yeah, for me, feeling mentally tired is much worse than being physically tired, because when you are physically tired, you can just go to bed or you can just take a day off from your work and you can overcome it in no time. But when you are mentally tired, it not only affects your day, your work, your relationship with the people around you, and also it has a detrimental effect on your overall well-being, I think. So people should avoid being mentally tired.
But being physically tired also has a detrimental effect on a person's well-being, doesn't it?
But you can, overcome, you can tackle this. You can eliminate that physical tiredness, by some ways.
Okay, let's talk about sleeping patterns now. What are some good things to do before going to bed?
There are several things you can do to make you, sleep better. For example, you can turn off your gadgets because, as we know, they emit a lot of, green light, which prevents you from going to bed, right? Which decreases the amount of melatonin in your body. And secondly, not having your main meal in the evening also helps to you to sleep better, because when you have your main meal in the evening, right, it's like your stomach struggles to digest food, and it makes you feel very, how can I say, it you may feel tired, something like that. Okay, not easily going to bed.
Why is it a problem if people don't get enough sleep?
Well, when people don't get enough sleep, right, and the next day they may not be as productive as they are, right? They normally are, and they cannot show their full potential at work. And when they do not get enough sleep, the next day they feel tired, of course, without any doubt. They feel exhausted. So. And it also affects their concentration level, I think. When you don't get a good night's sleep, right? The next day you find it really hard to concentrate on your priorities.
Mm-hmm. And finally, how do you think people's sleeping habits might change in the future?
Well, in the future, maybe we may have some pills, right? We already have, I know that, but we may have, advanced pills, advanced technology that can put us into sleep in a very short amount of time. And people can also, record what they see in their dream. And maybe they can even, in the future, the technology is booming nowadays. In the future, we may even be able to choose the dreams that we see during sleep.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test.
Thank
All right, so I hope you enjoyed this practice speaking test. As always, let me know in the comments section what score you think the candidate deserves for this performance. I'll make my own follow-up video with my own thoughts, feedback, comments, and marks that will go up probably tomorrow. As I mentioned earlier, if you'd like your own free practice IELTS speaking test with feedback, or if you'd like me to check your IELTS writing, I collect all of my candidates on my Telegram channel, Expert Examiner, and also on my Facebook group. A link to everything is given in the description. If you don't want to enter this lottery and you'd prefer to pay for a speaking test or a writing check, a full price list is available on my website, expertexaminer.com. More videos coming soon, but for now, bye bye.